Okay, it says I'm live. I got to give it just a moment or two to catch up. And if you guys wouldn't mind letting me know you can see and hear me, I would appreciate it. Thanks, everybody, for coming in on the pre chat. Always fun to see the conversations. Ree says 5x5. Not many people say that anymore. I wish more people did. Sawat, great to hear you. Thank you all for joining me. Roll call, each and every one of you. It's good to see all you guys. Look just like the KS Gun guy. Yeah, it's a crazy thing, you know. Nerdy, good to see you, man. I haven't seen you for a little while, so very good to see you. Loud and clear, Nicholas. Thanks, appreciate it. LZ, good to see you. Dan, Brian, good to see you. So Eric Davis was talking about something just a little while ago, and I mention this periodically on my videos, on live streams, that sort of thing. He's talking about, do you ever just pick up a gun and it feels right to you? Like you were made for the firearm. I think that's a really important thing. And I know reliability and shootability and you know, all of those other things come into play with a firearm, but sometimes it really comes down to the feel of the firearm. You guys all know, especially with polymers, and I just put together that top 10 polymer video, that there are a lot of options out there. So there's a little something for everyone, but I think it's really important that that you find the one that really feels incredibly good to you, because so many of them are going to be reliable. They're going to be good shooters. They're going to be trustworthy. They're going to be able to do a great many things like carry and home defense and all that kind of thing. So I think the feel is a really big part of it, because if something isn't comfortable in the hand to you, why in the world would you go with it when maybe the very next one next to it at the gun counter is going to do the job for you? So I wanted to say, hey, real quick, Morris, first time visitor, really appreciate you joining us. Nicholas Rodriguez is saying, I had that with the P10F. Yeah, absolutely. And you might have slightly bigger hands, so that probably did extremely well for you. Brian is saying they all feel good. And to a point, I think you're right. Although I think some feel better than others. I bring up the example of the Ahrex Delta, and I know some people really like that firearm. It did not feel good in the hand to me. That was not inspiring to me. So I didn't enjoy shooting it as much. I didn't enjoy dry firing it as much. And all of that, to me, is part of the whole thing. You know, you want to be able to enjoy your purchase, not only when you're actually shooting it, but every other time as well. I think that's really important. So it's a very interesting idea and concept, Eric. I'm glad you brought that up. We don't talk about that enough here. I mean, we talk so much about reliability and aftermarket and things like that, but sometimes it just does come down to feel. So I think that's really cool. So Dave Gass, good to see you. Listening to it while washing the wife's SUV. I'm sure she appreciates that, man. Young Guns saying the 320X carry feels right to me, and I like the compact a little bit better, but both are fantastic guns, no doubt about it. Ferret, good to see you, man. Big Al. The one that felt the best, I married. Hey, you know, whatever works, man. James Rowe, good to see you. Brian McD, any modern CZ. It's funny. I got out the P10. I don't have the P10, sorry, P01, out as much as I probably should. It's such a fantastic firearm. And that's the Omega. I call it the Omega Black. But I had the opportunity, and there are 4 or 5 of them there, to pick up a regular P01, and I still might do it, because I would love for that to be a project gun. Send it to Cajun Gunworks or something like that, and just do something fun. That's on the wish list, but right now with the channel condition the way it is, I'm kind of in a holding pattern for everything, which is a little bit torturous for me. But you know, it is what it is. So let's see. Mean Gene, any Glock will do the job, but just hold a Wilson or an STI. I got to tell you, you're exactly right. You hold some of those firearms. I mean, the STI, the Staccato P, feels amazing in the hand to me. I love that wood bark texture. I just think it looks good, and it feels good in the hand as well. REB is saying, for me, it's the STI TAC Host, and next it would be the Archon. Man, I'm so glad. That's awesome. I'm glad you're enjoying the Archon. They are wonderful firearms. They truly are. That grip texture takes a little while to get used to. It's a very different feel in the hand. I don't know if you experienced that or not. I definitely did, but now when I pick it up, it just feels right to me. And the gun just shoots so great. It's a phenomenal firearm. I enjoyed putting together that That polymer top 10, although I got a little bit of flack for not including a couple like the VP9 and the P10, both of which are fantastic firearms, just working on some other things now. So Warsaw Patriot, I'm looking into a small caliber pistol, but carries a big punch. I'm thinking 380. What would be a good semi-auto pistol in 380? So, I mean, I've always thought 380 is certainly viable. It doesn't pack as much of a punch as some of its bigger calibers, whether it be 940, 357 SIG, 45, the list goes on. However, I think the 380 is certainly a viable caliber. I'm a big fan of Glock 42s, and I know that's exceptionally boring, but it all comes back to the same stuff. Good aftermarket parts on it. They're reliable. They shoot everything reasonably well. I think that's a good choice, although a little bit more expensive, but still certainly a choice. But there are other 380s that are certainly good as well. I don't spend as much time with 380 as I probably should, so I don't really know some of the other options. The 238 SIG 238 is a good option. Different manual of arms, more of a 1911, but still very good nonetheless. Bruce Nelson bought a CZP 10C this week. Love it. That's awesome, man. Congratulations. And I'm already way behind. Range Randy, good to see you, man. And I had your comment and I just lost it. Bought the SIG X5 Legion today at Frontier Justice. Man, you should have hollered. I wish I'd known. You pushed me over the edge. Congratulations. Now, I don't know if that was the Missouri or the Kansas store, but they do a great job over there. They're good people. And I'm so glad they had one for you, because I think those Legions are probably a little bit hard to get a hold of right now. They are my SIG hookup for most everything. They've got a pile of SIG Sauers of very broad spectrum. I mean, you know, the MPX and MCX and everything down from there. So that's good. Morris Lane, my Canik TP9 SF fits perfectly. Nice. It's a good gun, man. They've got fantastic triggers. No doubt about that. Finally made the decision to go, and this is Havoc, by the way, finally made the decision to go with the CZ Shadow 2. Your thoughts? I'll tell you what, and maybe you haven't seen some of those videos. The Shadow 2 is one of my favorite, if not my favorite gun in the collection. So I'm getting ready to start putting together a steel firearm, comparison, whatever you want to say, or top 10. It won't be 10. I don't have 10, but it'll be close to it. And the Shadow 2 will definitely be on that list, no doubt about that. And there might even be a couple of other CZs on that one as well. So Brian McD ordered the Omega P01 Cajun full kit into the week. Great minds think alike. Very nice. Now, I'd be curious because I've always understood that the Omega is not as adaptable to parts as the regular one. So I'll want to know your experience on that. I mean, I have the Omega and I'm not opposed to sending that to Cajun, but I've just always heard that the other one, because you can do like the 85 combat trigger, and you just kind of, it's a different deal internally. So I definitely want your thoughts on that when you can. Red Busser, I think it's Red Busser. Dan Wesson thoughts. Well, I love them. There's a Dan Wesson Guardian. Happen to have that out. I have yet to really work with this. I have shot it now, at least a little bit off camera. And I'm in love, man. I'm so excited for that. I'm excited to get that video going. It's going to be a little while before that happens, but I will definitely do that. So Mean Gene, the one that melts in my hands is a CZ Compact D PCR. Fantastic gun as well. Harry's Holsters, good to see you, man. What are your thoughts on the LWRC 45? You know, I don't really have any thoughts. I don't have any experience with that, man. It's a good question. I'd like to know more at some point in time. We'll see. We'll see. Steve B, Shadow 2, thumbs up, thumbs down. Always a thumbs up, dude. Always a thumbs up. No doubt about that. REB, I love the M&P 2.0 texture, so the Archon is right in that ballpark. Okay, well, that makes sense. That definitely does. So I am woefully behind. I'm going to skip forward. If I missed something, please share it again if you don't mind. Kelvin, the X5 Legion are actually pretty easy to find right now. Well, that's good. SIG is notorious for making guns hard to find. I mean, the P365, people were trying so hard to get a hold of that when it came out. Now, the XL, it seems that there are more of those, or the interest is lower, one of the two. But all of the stores in Kansas City have them right now. So I don't know what that says. I think the XL is a good gun, but perhaps it's not as exciting as its little brother was when it first came out. I don't know. But interesting, no doubt about that. Nicholas, we have a SIG dealer near me. All they have are SIG Selects. Okay, Legions and Emperor Scorpion models. Although I like that Emperor Scorpion, I wish it was a 9, but I like that Emperor Scorpion. Might have one standard model across all sizes. That's interesting. And a lot of SIG dealers, I've noticed they do that. They carry those real high end ones because they're hard to find elsewhere. So the chances of somebody buying them are probably higher. You would think they would still just stock some of the regular, like the P320s and things like that. But that isn't always the case so much. But again, the Emperor Scorpion, I like the smaller, the bobtail or fastback, whatever you want to say. I think they are just fantastic firearms. And again, if I could locate one in a 9mm, I would be all over that. I would be all over it. So Range Randy, that was over in the Missouri store. You weren't too far, brother. I'm sorry we couldn't meet up at some point, but that's awesome. Congratulations. And they said there are none at the Kansas store, so they must have sold. Mine was the first one to arrive, and it actually arrived in Missouri and came over to Kansas for me. But I think then they got one at each store a few weeks after I bought mine. So perhaps that one that you got is the one that they had in the Missouri store. So congratulations. That is very cool. Parts by Teddy, good to see you. Bruce Nelson looking for a +0 mag base for CZP-10. Any ideas? Go to Shook's Customs. Shook's Customs. They're actually a Kansas company, but they specialize in CZ parts. I've got a video on the on Shook's Customs somewhere in the library, but they've got a lot of different choices. They probably have a +0 option available there. So take a look at those guys. Shook's Customs. Tim, assault weapon ban. Remember, it's not really an assault. I know they call it that. It's not an assault weapon. We don't get those. We'll say a modern sporting rifle ban of 2020. What do you think? Well, I think that's ridiculous because we all know they're no different than any other firearm out there at all. They just look a little different, right? Because of some of the furniture and that sort of thing. So, if they did it, it would be ridiculous. It's not going to prove any points. It's not going to do anything. And we saw that last time. We saw that with the Brady bill, with some of the different laws that came into effect in the mid 90s, roughly. I mean, I remember buying my first firearm when I turned 21. And it was during the Brady bill time. And I had to wait, whatever it was, a week or 15 days or something. I don't remember, 10 days, whatever it was. And it didn't do any good. And that's why they actually reversed it, because they realized the stats didn't change. And I think the stats got better when they brought back standard capacity magazines and sporting rifles and things like that, because you put more guns in the hands of good people, the responsible gun owners, and I think you're going to be in a better position. So I just kind of my thoughts on that. Mateo, great to see you, man. Great to see you. Lee Williams, is the IWI Masada going to appear on the channel? I don't know. I've had one or two questions, you being one of them. So the interest is there, but it's not bowling me over by any stretch of the imagination. So I just don't know yet. And again, since the channel is a little bit in limbo with demonetization, I'm a little cautious about doing too much investing in the channel right now, trying to recoup things and see where things land right now. So we'll see. The Armsman, good to see you. No notification. That's weird. So some may have gotten it, some may not have. I don't really know. I don't know. Kimmett loves bacon. Tough days are coming. I think that is entirely possible. I think it's possible. See, Kim is saying the ban did nothing last time. I agree. It didn't. It didn't do a single thing. It made a few people happy for a short while, but in the end, it didn't do any good. Johnny Danger, do you EDC like these tactical hipsters on YouTube, or do you keep it simple? Well, if you've seen any of my EDC focused videos, I'm extremely simple, very minimalist. I carry a firearm, a holster, backup magazine. I carry a tiny little light that fits in my pocket that basically disappears. I have a knife on me. And that, for the most part, is it, along with wallet and keys and chapstick. Chapstick's very important. But that's really it. So I like to keep it simple, keep it light, keep it minimalist, and something that I can comfortably have on me and not be, burdened or bugged or anything like that. You get some people that get all squirmy when they're carrying a whole lot of gear. That to me doesn't make a lot of sense. Some people get away with it, which is totally cool. It's not my bag at all. Corey from Erie, PA, man, good to see you. Mounted the RMR on the Glock 19 Gen 4 MOS. I like it. Good deal. Good deal. C. Kim will drive the prices up. That is true. However, on the flip side, the firearms industry right now has been on a real slump since Trump took office. Sales are down a lot. And so maybe perhaps a little boost for a little while might be good for the industry. I know that sounds weird and it's counterintuitive because it does raise the prices a little bit, but every once in a while, you got to fuel the market a little bit. So I'm not a fan of the higher prices, but I am a fan of fueling the market a little bit. So, you got to take what you can get, I guess. Brian, I feel like the interest in the Masada will grow when they come out with their compact version. That's possible. And I would be more interested in that. I prefer compact firearms. Mateo found a SIG P320 at a local Cabela's and 357 SIG. Thinking of you are the 357 SIG guru, my friend, thinking of picking it up. Nicely done, man. Nicely done. Keep me posted. Lauren Bowley, I hope it's Bowley, hope I'm pronouncing that right, was thinking of getting an AR-15 pistol. What do you think ATF will be? I mean, nobody knows, man. Nobody knows. That has not been mentioned yet, at least by Trump. He talked about red flag laws and a few other things that went along with his speech this morning. The red flag laws was the one that I was the most interested in. I have various thoughts on that. I'm not for it. I mean, just by its nature. But it could probably be worse than that. And for if perhaps that would placate people a little bit, I don't know. I don't know how I feel. But again, I'm not a fan of it personally. That could become very dangerous very quickly, I think. Corey saying would love to see the Masada. Been drooling over it since its release. Looked pretty reliable from what I've seen. Yeah, I mean, it does look interesting, no doubt about it. But I've got a couple of main, like that Stoeger still has yet to be on camera. So there's still a lot of catch up to do. REB, I got a question for all. I have a P10C, one of the originals. Okay, so non-optic, one of the older ones. Would you sell it for an optic ready or have it cut? Remembering if you get it cut, the RMR will sit lower and no plate. Personally, I'd get it cut. I mean, why trade one for another and then you're limited on your optics? If you get it cut, you get the optic you want. Now, the flip side of that is you get the optic you want at the time. And if for some reason you want to change and it's got a different footprint, then you're kind of stuck there. So there's a give and take with that. But I think in terms of like you said, having it sit a little bit lower, you co-witness a little bit better and you get what you want on it. That might be the way to go. Bloody Soup, good to see you, man. Hopefully we don't get too political, but I guess we have to. Yeah, you know me. I try not to get very political. I think that gets a little too in the weeds, and I try and just talk about guns for the most part. But I think we are all paying close attention to what's going on right now. The events of the weekend. Anytime things like that happen, it gets us all a little bit squirmy, no doubt about that. And unfortunately, we react on emotions, and I think that's what's going on. That's why the media is so flooded with all this stuff right now. It's feeding into people's emotions, and I'm hoping we can take a step back and think about things logically. Who was it? Neil deGrasse Tyson put out a tweet earlier today that said something. I mean, he said the amount of people that were injured or killed over the weekend. But then he talked about stats of like automobile deaths and deaths, medical situations, that sort of thing, which were tremendous, obviously a lot higher than what happened this weekend. And he said, when you put things into perspective, draw your own conclusions on that. But I thought it was really cool that someone who's very smart, well-respected, a scientist, can say, hey, let's look at the data. Let's look at the actual numbers. I mean, let's pull ourselves away from emotion, which is hard to do, but let's look at the numbers and figure out what we need to do realistically that keeps our rights and our freedoms, but also can, save some lives. So that's it. I'm off my soapbox. Enough of that. Mateo, speaking of Stoeger, initial thoughts. I will tell you, it's not terrifically inspiring to me. It's not a bad gun. There's nothing wrong with it, and for the price, it's a way for more people to get into firearms. So I'm a big fan of that, but it's not terribly inspiring to me, to be honest with you. Corey, I have the original P10C, carried every day. I'm going for the optic cut. Okay, fair enough. The Arms Men, seeing the new P320X heavy grit frames, very nice, but 300 steep. I would agree with that. However, you might think I'm crazy, but if they came out with an X compact version that had the tungsten in it, I'd be all over that. I would love to try a heavier one just to see what that's like. I bet it would be a super sweet shooter. James Rowe, every time there is an MS, we'll just call it MS because I hate saying that out loud. And this video would be flagged in a heartbeat. FFL dealers start making serious bank. Well, yeah, you're right. I mean, again, it boosts the economy a little bit. Obviously, that's not a good reason to do that. It's not at all. However, that's the truth of the matter, you know? Pistol Pete could see video games. It's Donkey Kong's fault, without question. It absolutely is. And he mentioned video games, which I was very surprised about. Let's see. Snowman, hi KS. Some SIG news for you. They are going to stop production of the P226 SAO and Legion SAO for some design changes. That's very surprising to me. I wonder why they're doing that. You've piqued my curiosity, Snowman. So pick up an SAO if you can, if you're interested. I mean, they are fantastic firearms. Yeah, I see, Kim. Media never shows hundreds of people saved by firearms. No, they never would. Because that doesn't tug at your emotions the same way the opposite does, unfortunately, you know? Mateo, well, that was underwhelming. It's about the Stoker. Sorry, man. I mean, that word kind of comes to mind a little bit. Not a bad gun at all. A little bit underwhelming in my mind. Harry Solster, you're going to be doing any revolver stuff soon. You know, I've got that 986, so it will be reviewed soon. My review schedule is lengthening just a little bit because I'm involved in some other things outside of YouTube. So you might see one or two less videos a month. It just kind of depends, but it will be coming for sure. So it will. Kathleen, did they upgrade the chassis on the X5? They did. Yeah, it's infused in tungsten. Somebody else has probably said that already, but it makes that frame by itself about a pound. And it's just an incredible shooter. It really is. Harry, I think the X Compact and X Carry in tungsten would sell well in limited runs. I mean, I'd be all over it, man. I really would. REB, I would like to see a study on how many of those are psychotropic meds, and is there a correlation to the record young male 17 to 24 suicide rate? Oh boy, that would be an interesting stat. I don't know. All right, let's talk guns here. Johnny Danger, did the Hudson H9 go out of business? Yes, Hudson went out of business. They and I haven't heard any news about them lately. But they did go bankrupt, which is too bad. I mean, I like the design of the firearm. Mine didn't work at all, but I like the design, if nothing else. I would like somebody else to pick up where they left off, maybe with better funding and hone in on the one gun first to make sure it's 100% correct before you move on to the next thing. I think the H9A was released prematurely. They had not really figured out and dialed into the H9 yet. I think that was a mistake. What do I know? I don't, I'm not running the company, so who knows? All right, catching up here. Ranger 10 millimeter. The X5 Legion is a great gun, great trigger too. I agree. Keith Gregory, good to see you. Asking Harry, do you have a favorite revolver? Harry likes all guns, man. Brian McD, hey KS, if you had to invest, stock up in one magazine platform for what could possibly be forever, realistically, what mags would you buy? Glock, rifle? I would sort of pepper it to multiple different platforms. I have a lot of Glock magazines. I'd probably stock up on a couple more, but some more P320, some more AR mags, things like that. I mean, I would kind of hoard a little bit of all personally. But I'm not one of those people who needs, 50 magazines for one gun. I mean, I can't do that. So, Brian, cool to see your review on TGC. Glad there are others out there willing to help in a tough situation. Yeah, man, appreciate that. That was a ton of fun. I hope to do it again here pretty soon. I need to retweak the videos a little bit. I think it's too long for TGC. You guys are used to longer videos on my channel. On their channel, probably not so much. So I probably need to go back to the drawing board, the storyboard a little bit, and rework some things. But that's not very hard to do. Less extra talking from me, and I like to talk. You guys know that, so I'd have to rethink that and retrain myself a little bit. Snowman, you just need to sell all your guns and get the STI TTI 2011, the Terran Tactical. I do have my eye on an STI, but actually the DVC carry, I think that's really cool looking. That's a wish list gun, of course, but it looks very cool. C. Kim Bursa came out with a new 380. We'll have to check that out. I've never held or shot a Bursa, believe it or not. So I need to do that. People say over and over again to check them out. So I will at some point in time. Tommy Guns, who makes a holster for an FNH 509 with an Olight on the rail? I do not know. Bug Harry for that one. I really don't know. He's got the FNH 509, I'm sure, the FN 509, but I don't know about with the Olight. Kathleen, my favorite gun is the one I'm shooting at the range. Well said. Very well said. Anthony, good to see you. Harry's saying, I've got like 10 favorite revolvers depending on what I'm doing. Ruger Red Hawk and 44 is my default favorite. Very nice. Scott P. And yet he didn't mention CZ75s. It's all, I swear it's all piled in there. I actually have quite a few CZ75 mags, but I can stand to use a few more. REP, I think I'm more long-winded than you. No, you and I could go toe to toe, man. 12, did recent events over the weekend make you have second thoughts about your EDC? Only in that you need to do it. I mean, it just proves over and over again, the more good people that can fight back, the better. I firmly believe that. So yeah, it did make me have second thoughts, and it just reaffirmed that you need to do it, man. Steve B, come on, KS 15, 19, 11 mags. 3 is a minimum for any gun. Yeah, 3. I'd say that's right. 3 is definitely a minimum. But for the ones that are a little bit more critical for various uses, whether it's home defense, carry, things like that. I mean, I expand that a little bit, 4 or 5 or more. Again, sometimes if you like Glocks, I mean, I have a lot of Glock mags, so just because I have a lot of like the polymer 80s and that sort of thing. So by default, I've got more of those types of mags, I suppose. Mean Gene, I collect Colt Detectives. That is very cool. That is a very cool collection. Yeah, Snowman, 509 midsize now optics ready. Yeah, I saw that, the TGC video on that. The midsize will be kind of fun to play around with, but you know, the FN, all of them, like the 509, they're all good guns. It's kind of one of those things where I enjoyed my time with them, but obviously they're not here anymore, so they didn't inspire me enough to stay in the collection. And I fear that the midsize would probably do the same. Danny Vendor, think there's any chance SIG might make the X5 Legion frame available to replace the frame on my regular X5? They already do. It's already out there, buddy. Go grab one. They're out there. $300, so they're not cheap, but they are out there. As far as I'm concerned, it's well worth it. I mean, it changes the dynamic of the gun and the balance of the gun significantly, and I think for the better. Jossie Yee, I hope I'm saying that right. If I'm not, I apologize. What do you think of the Olight PL Pro Valkyrie? Have you ran into any issues? No, I've had good luck with all my Olights. They've been good. And as you can see, I don't do Olight videos anymore. I kind of stopped that. I got kind of tired of it all, but they make great products. So I still proudly run them, if that tells you anything. So haven't had any issues. All right, catching up again, guys. Mateo, man, I feel bad when I opt not to carry all 3 of my EDC guns. Can't see not carrying at all. I agree, 100% agree. Now, unfortunately, at work, I can't, so that's weird. But otherwise, yeah, absolutely. Anthony, any advice for noob getting into RMR red dot pistols? Find the firearm platform first that you like, that you connect with, that you shoot well, that's reliable, all of those things that fits into your budget and leaves room for ammo and everything. and find one that either has the optic option on it, and there are more and more out there. There are some manufacturers that still aren't really doing it very much, like Smith & Wesson. Hopefully they will before too long. They need to get on the bandwagon with that. But there are certainly a lot of options out there. The other option is to have your slide milled. That'd be a couple $100, but you'd get it milled for the optic that you really like. Find the optic that works for you, and depending on your application, there are going to be some that are probably going to hold up a little bit better than others. Trigicon's a great default. They typically run well and they're pretty battle proven. Leopold Delta Point Pros do well as well. But if you want something that's a little bit more plink worthy, Vortex does a great job. HoloSun, it does okay. It's the 507 micro. I had a little issue with mine. I'll explain that on a video I'm working on here pretty soon. But find all the right stuff, put it all together, and you'll be good to go. Ranger 10, I carry my M&P 2.0 compact with 2 spare 17-round magazines, one 17-round in the well and one in the pipe. Fair enough. It's well armed. James Rowe, my favorite revolver is the Smith & Wesson 29. I've owned since 1993. That's awesome, James. Very cool. Rooster, Scandium frame 357 from Smith & Wesson hurts way more than any 44 mag I've shot. Fair enough. Compton Terry, good to see you. Long time. Yeah, no kidding. I know you're a musician. I've been studying music theory for a year now. What a deep rabbit hole to go down. Ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth? But it'll pay for itself in spades. I promise you. Tommy Guns, recent things reminded me that I was getting lazy in my EDC. Always carry, but a pocket gun is not for all occasions. Just lazy on my part. Yeah, we can all get lazy. There's no doubt about that. So every once in a while, you gotta re-inspire yourself, man. One of the things I do is every once in a while dedicate a day at the range with just my carry gun, and that's it. And it just rework it, make sure it feels good, make sure it's running your ammo the way it's supposed to reliably, and go from there. That usually re-inspires me. Let's see. Eric Davis, I like the FN, but got away from them after watching the tests where dunking them in water made them fail. Yeah, I get it. Those tests, I always recommend people take those with a grain of salt. They're designed to make the guns fail. Now the water, I don't know quite so much, but certainly the sand and the mud and the dirt, that sort of thing. But under most circumstances, how often are you going to be dunking it in water? If you're around pools a lot or lakes or something, yeah, maybe. But if you're just in the middle of a city or something like that, where there isn't a lot of water around, that's probably not going to happen. It's going to take rain. Okay. So, just take that with a grain of salt. Dave Gass, congratulations, over 36,000. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I appreciate it. We have a lot of fun here, man. We just have a good time. Brian, speaking of guns that feel good, I have a Fort Smith Walther PPK-S in 380, and while I know carrying my G43 to many would be a better option, I just like the PPK-S, and it's a tack driver. Well, that's cool, man. If it's a tack driver and you like carrying it, you're carrying something. So that's a good thing. Tommy Guns, like button. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Keenan, good to see you. Talking to James Rowe, got my 29 Classic in the 90s also. Very cool. Okay, Karam 19. What do horses eat? Hey. Very, very well put. That's pretty funny. See, Kim, Dan Wesson, Model 15 is a great shooter. I did not have any experience with that. My Dan Wesson experience is very limited, unfortunately. REB, I concur on the RMR and 507C. My next RMR will be 1 MOA. Wow, nice. Now that I'm proficient with the 3.5 MOA. Okay, very cool. Very cool. $12. My 43 definitely won't cut it anymore. 43s are fine guns. The only thing they're deficient in is capacity a little bit. But by the same token, a lot of people that carry revolvers, that sort of thing, there's a little bit of a limitation in capacity. So if you look at the stats, versus capacity, it's fine to have 5 or 6 or 7. I prefer maybe a few more than that, although I carry a shield a good portion of the time. So I'm definitely limited more to like 7 or 8 rounds typically, or 9, whatever it is. So if you've got a backup mag or 2, I think you're probably okay. But yeah, I mean, the 43 is a little bit deficient. 43X could be an option. It's got a few more rounds at least. Mateo, wow, 6 thumbs down. Interesting to say the least. I know who they are. Big fans. Karam 19, I carry a Wilson Combat EDC X9 because I feel fancy with it. It's also a bit accurate. They are very accurate, no doubt about that. That's a pricey firearm to carry, but you know what? More power to you, man. More power to you. They are beautiful firearms, and they are a lot of fun to shoot. Dennis B, hey, KS, got home from Vermont. What did I miss? You missed everything. We'll catch up later. I promise. Karam 19, Keenan, one thing to think about with ported firearms is what it's like to fire in low light conditions. You know, that debate's gone on for quite some time. I've not found that to actually be conclusive evidence that it's going to blind you or anything like that. You do see a flash, there's no doubt about it, but it's not blinding. So I don't know that would necessarily be that big of an issue. A debate amongst yourselves on that, but I don't think that's that big of a deal. Harry's Holsters, the EDC X9 is overpriced for what you get. You know, I'll admit, I actually really want to try the EDC X9L, I guess it is, whatever, the long slide version that holds 17. I think that'd be pretty cool. Steve B, don't miss. Spend time at the range and get good. I do agree with that, man. Spend time at the range. Make sure you budget your firearm to leave room for ammo, range time. That's really important. I know people who spend all their money on their firearm and they have no room for ammo for months and months. And I wouldn't do that. You know, I think you ought to get to the range. Brian Noss, assuming it's reliable, as soon as Shield Arms releases the 15-round flush mag for the 43X and 48, it's going to be a game changer. Well, game changer we throw around a lot. I will say it's going to be pretty darn cool. I'm excited to see it. They've been working on it for a long time, so I wonder if the physics is getting pretty challenging for them. I don't know. I haven't talked to him about that specifically. I haven't asked because I don't think they would tell me. But I will be curious to see it as well. Harry, I can say that because I own one. Yeah, it's true. Young Guns, I'm boring. The Glock 19 with XS big sights is my go-to carry, it seems, most of the time. There's no shame in that, man. That made number 1 on the list, dude. There's no shame in that at all. It does, the Glock does the job. They're kind of boring. They're kind of plain, but they do the job. And you can deck them out to your heart's content. I kind of like that. So some people didn't appreciate that ranking in that video, but that's how I view it, man. It's how I view it. Snowman, KS Gun Co. had the new IWI with Vortex Red Dot for sale for under 600. That's cool. Okay, is it KS Gun? Do you mean Kentucky Gun Company? Maybe would that be KT? I don't know. Texas Teacher, good to see you. Steve Big Taco, I've been going to school and carrying a Smith & Wesson 6906 trade-in. Very cool. Those are great old guns, man. My first firearm was a Smith & Wesson 915. It's actually not too dissimilar from the 6906. And it was a great gun, a double action, single action, kind of a 1911 style takedown, a heavy gun, steel gun, but just a fun shooter. I really, really wish I had that. And now I have found deals online for used ones, but man, they don't look anywhere near as good as the one that I sold looked. And I'd hate to get one that was just completely beat up. I suppose you could refinish it and that sort of thing, but they are still great guns, no doubt about it. Oh, Kathleen, favorite range ammo. We oftentimes say whatever's cheap, but I typically stick with PMC. I like PMC a lot, not only for the price, they've also been very consistent. I don't think I really had any errors. no, except the XL P365 XL had the 2 fails to feed in the very beginning, and that was with PMC. But generally, it's been very consistent. I like that. Now it's a slightly lighter round. My wrists appreciate that quite a bit. They're a hot mess, so the lighter rounds are definitely good for me. But yeah, that's my range ammo of choice, I guess. And Knuckles, if carrying a $3,000 gun doesn't make you feel fancy, I don't know what will. Amen to that. Brandon James, what is my favorite 1911? A Colt 45. I mean, that's the original in my mind. It might be the original, really. That's what I cut my teeth shooting when I was a little kid. Was a Colt 45. Nearly blew me over, but I love them. Another favorite of mine actually is the Dan Wesson Guardian. Now it's still a 1911, but 9mm and a little bit smaller, a little different form factor. But I'll be honest with you, put any 1911 in my hand, I'm going to have fun with it. I don't care about whatever caliber you want. I mean, I've had fun with the 10mm, certainly 45, 9mm is a dream to shoot out of a 1911. It's just so soft and so much fun and so accurate. Any 1911 I would be pleasantly happy with. All right, catching up here for a moment. BWAT 75, I'm going to throw glitter on my Walther and just be as fancy. Probably talking about the Wilson Combat. Just another deplorable. Still recommend the Taurus G2C. Sure, why not? Mine still runs just fine. I've had a great experience with it. Time and time again, people say how much they love them. I'll get a complaint about 1 out of every 50 comments or so. To me, that is a fantastic ratio because the ratio is much different on a lot of other firearms, even things like M&Ps or Glocks or whatever. So most people seem to really like the G2C. And once again, I said it a little earlier tonight, but I'll say it again, a firearm that allows more people to get into the shooting sports and be able to have fun or protect themselves or whatever it happens to be. I am a huge fan. That's why something like the Stoeger or the Taurus or old M&Ps that are really inexpensive, $250, $300, I'm a big fan of. So yeah, the Taurus is fine. A lot of people knock the brand. I get it, but I think they're making a change, and I think it's okay for us to recognize that at some point in time. All right. Music Lover, PMC is good stuff. I agree. Tommy Guns, my old Kimber will be going back in rotation. Had it, carried it every day for 20 years. Thought I retired it. That's cool, man. As long as it runs, it's all that matters, right? Brian, when do we think Trijicon, Vortex, and Hollow Sun will get into the micro red dot game? I feel like they are, but you're talking, okay, so for 365, 43, 43S, X, etc., I like the idea of the Romeo Zero, but who knows how that will shake out. It's supposed to come out at the end of the month, I think. I'm going to try one. I'm very interested in it. It might be a total dud. It might be a flop. Who knows? Most people have had pretty good luck with the Romeo 1 that I understand. Some people have not, however. That's kind of one of those about 1 every 15 or 1 every 20 comment sort of things. So still pretty good. That's a good ratio, but not as good. Tommy Guns also carried a Springfield V10, if anyone remembers those. I do not remember that. I'd be curious to know more. TC, good to see you, Tactical Considerations. I'm going to be testing a G2C soon. I cannot wait to swap notes with you on that one, man. That'll be very interesting. I think you're going to like it. I really do. But if you don't, warn me first. LZ USA, are you going to be reviewing a CMMG Banshee? Yes, I am. It's in the works right now. In fact, we're waiting on parts. But yes, that will be coming in the next 4 to 6 weeks, probably somewhere around there. So I am stoked for that. Young Guns, you're not busy enough. You should start doing ammo gel tests. You'd never get any sleep. Yeah. And also, I mean, I could do it indoors, I guess. But yeah, enough people do that. And ammo gel tests are really fun to watch, but in terms of how conclusive they are, I struggle with that a little bit. And maybe it's because I don't understand the science enough as much as I should, the ballistic science behind it. They're fun to watch, but yeah, you're probably not going to see any ballistics tests from me. Probably not. Pistol Pete, I left a comment on the Wilson Combat EDC X9L video, but they blocked it. Well, that's too bad. I'm really curious about that gun. I really am. Ferrets, I'm currently carrying an M&P compact, but the G19 may be the go-to when the slide comes back from Williams Gunworks. I can't wait to see that, man. They do such an amazing job. That barrel they did for me is beautiful. I'm stoked for that, man. Ohio, good to see you, Ohio. PMC has improved a lot over the years. Back in the 80s, it was known as a poorly made crap, PMC. Now it's pretty good. Okay, fair enough. And back then, I shot whatever I could afford back in the earlier days. I wouldn't have been buying ammo in the 80s. I was a little kid, but certainly shooting. But yeah, I've had great luck with them. So I'm sure what you're saying is exactly right. Karen, reviewing any of the new Beretta 92X series, the compact intrigues me. It intrigues me as well. I'd like to. It all depends. I just have to kind of take one day at a time at this point in time. So, there are enough things that still need to go. In fact, I was going to have it out, but I don't. The Langdon Tactical still hasn't been reviewed yet. So, lots to do. Tommy Guns, I'll send it to you to test if you want. Forgotten Carry Guns edition. That would be very cool, man. We can talk later. Pistol Pete, it was Wilson Combat's channel. I said this or the Yeet cannon. They took that down? Why? It sparks conversation. That's whatever. That's dumb. And it would be a great comparison, Pistol Pete. Tactical considerations. Also, my Langdon 92 to see what 1776 is all in love with. Nice. Yeah, he's all about that right now, isn't he? Steve B, let's see. What to remember if you have to use your gun? It will sit in the evidence room for a long time. They kept my Blackhawk for 6 months, uncleaned the whole time. Yeah, that's true. Very true. CChem gel tests suck. That's funny. Yeah, I probably won't see one on my channel. Music lover, how many people carry in their purse besides me? Would it be a purse or a merce? All right, Brian McD, I fell so in love with the CMMG Banshee. I sold my Scorpion and have not had a single regret. Amazing shooter and infinite trigger options. Looking forward to your review of it. Cool. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, I'm stoked, man. I'm stoked. I picked my color out and everything, so I'm ready to go. Armsmen love the CMMG Banshees. A lot of fun. Which model? So it's going to be the 300 series, 9mm, and picked a fun color. I won't say what it is yet, but I'm pretty stoked. I'm going to be very impatient about it too, because it's going to be a little while before it arrives. Young Guns gel tests are so finicky. It was a joke. Don't waste your time on that stuff. Yeah, again, it's not a thing. We're good. Pistol Pete, I got blocked from Warrior Poets channel too. Are you kidding me? God, why? You're actually one of the cool ones. Ferrets with guns, fanny pack, nice. Vanessa Kitty, good to see you. Various bags work well. It's true. Yeah, I've got a good EDC bag. However, that particular one is actually dedicated to work, so it carries my tactical laptop, sadly. REB, Mateo, talking to Mateo, I watched a video of someone that did a cut on a Steyr, but it had some issues. Can't remember what it is. Yeah, I've actually got whatever the L9A2 or whatever it is here. I've not shot this thing yet. I need to get on that pretty soon. It's a loaner from Steyr, so they're going to start wanting it back pretty soon. There are not many, I think, of these out for loan right now. In fact, this is the one that 17 had. Believe it or not, it's the same one. So it made it from New York to Kansas City, which is pretty funny. But hopefully I'll shoot it better than he did. Keenan, so, okay, your CMMG Banshees and burnt bronze. Nice. Those are the bronze ones are awesome looking. CCam with a little work. I got a sub 2000 Gen 2 to run. Will be carried in a briefcase soon. Nice. That's cool, man. Very deployable. Dustin, good to see you. I love Banshee as well. Have thousands of rounds through mine. Very cool, man. You guys have me excited. Stop talking about them because I'm going to get super impatient. REB, how many guns are on the table? There are 4 on the table. CZP-01 Omega, the Omega Black. It's one of my favorite polymer 80s, the Glock 34 Zafiri Precision. I just love that gun. It's so much fun to dry fire. It's got a tactical pontoon trigger, and it's ridiculously good. Dan Wesson, Guardian, and then the Steyr, and that's it. I don't know why I got all these out. I just decided to pile a few guns on the table. All right, catching up here. Hang on. Mateo, I looked at the Banshee. Now they offer it in 40. Yep, yeah, they do indeed. Absolutely. Music, we know you shoot better than 1776. It will be our little secret. Ha ha. I don't know, man. I've seen some of his targets. They look pretty good. Lauren to Pistol Pete, why did you get banned? Yeah, I'd be curious about that as well. Mateo, from what I've heard, the new A2 may offer a subcompact as a conversion kit, slide barrel, and grip module. I would be down for that. You know, I like this thing. It by and large is the same thing as the other Steyrs. The grip is different, and it feels very different in the hand. I'm not 100% sold on it yet, to be honest with you. I really like the feel of the original grip. It's actually a little smaller than this, so you can really crush it. And this is super blocky in front, which might remind you of something, although it's more blocky than a Glock, believe it or not. So just kind of a different deal. I'm still, getting used to it, and I obviously need to get it to the range and everything. That might change everything for me. I don't know. Not Satch. Nothing wrong with spending quality time with your guns. That's right. Yeah, there's usually 1 or 2 laying around here. Pistol Pete, I called out Mr. Guns and Gear, so I'm probably blocked from his channel too. Pistol Pete, you've made a name for yourself, my friend. It's awesome. It's funny. So here's a little secret for you 95 out there right now. We remember. There are very few names when somebody puts a comment out there that's memorable. Sometimes it's very positive, and sometimes it's way over on the other side. We remember names. We remember all of that stuff. It makes an impact. So yeah, and Pistol Pete, your name is very memorable, no doubt about that. So you might have made a name for yourself. It's very possible. Karam 19, the Steyr intrigues me as well. Not a big fan of polymer guns these days. They seem like a dime a dozen. Yeah, that's one of the things about the Steyr that I really enjoy. It is a little bit different than a lot of the other polymer firearms out there. It's different, not only in its grip angle, so it's a little bit more glocky. However, I think it's more ergonomic than Glock, even this one. But it just is. It's a very different feel to it, and they are just ridiculously fun shooters because they're so flat. That slide sits incredibly low. Not a review, but anyways, they're very different. They're well worth checking out. Mateo, don't care for the look of the pick rail. Looks like an afterthought, and the faux beaver tail is ridiculous. Interesting. So the beaver tail, I agree with. The pick rail, I'll be honest with you, and I know it's hard to see because of the color of the wall. There you go a little bit. I actually kind of like that. It does make it look a little tougher. When I compared it to the M9, I still have the M9A1. It is certainly very different, but it definitely screams pick rail now. It is a lot louder, but I actually kind of like that. Different strokes for different folks. The grip texture, I am thoroughly enjoying. The grip, the way they restyled it. I don't know about that. REB, wish I could show you what I have. Maybe you could rig up some kind of viewer show and tell. That would be very cool. Other people have said that as well. I may have to figure out a way to do that, or do a segment in a video with some pictures or something of other people's firearms. I think that'd be a lot of fun. Bald and curious. So what exactly is on the rocks? We're always on the rocks, man. On the rocks for something, right? No, it started out as an opportunity to have a cocktail and do a live stream. I don't do the cocktails during the streams anymore. That was a choice I made probably a year ago or so. But the rocks come afterwards now. Lauren Neil Diamond song. Right, there you go. I like that. Your name here. Good to see you. Channels remember comments for sure. Doesn't matter how many subs. I'm telling you, it's true. It is absolutely true. You do remember, and you also remember when people disappear. As very active commenters, when all of a sudden they just stop commenting. It's just kind of an interesting thing. You do notice those things. Depending on, I mean, and some channels pay more attention to comments than others. I mean, I read every comment and I try to respond to most every comment. I'm at about 98%. I'm starting to slack just a tiny bit, but Hail to the Rooster. If you were to pick a new carry option, even if you already own it, what would you pick? I guess the Shield is normally my go-to. You guys all know that. I would say probably the 365. I've had great luck with it. It's tiny. It packs 10+1. And it's a great shooter. It's got great sights. I enjoy that firearm. I like the XL quite a bit as well. So I'd feel comfortable taking either one of those. In fact, I carry the 365 from time to time. I've got a Harry's holster for it. It's comfortable. And I hardly notice it's there. So I don't mind that at all. See, Kim, I troll everybody. Good for you, man. Oh, I like that. Mateo, I frame chopped an M40, so now it's the grip of the S, like a G19 chopped to a 26. Nice. Very cool. Brian, I have a feeling the Steyr isn't going to make the cut in comparison to other options. That said, you have never really heard of issues with them. Well, earlier generations, they had issues. It's something Mateo could probably speak to more than I could, or 17 if he was here, but earlier gens have. Gen 4, the Gen 4s, I think, solved basically all of those issues. Mine's been fantastic. It's been a flawless runner. I expected this to do the same because it has all the Gen 4 upgrades, but then the upgraded grip frame after that. So I have high hopes for this, but we shall see. And it's the L. I've never shot the L, so slightly bigger, I guess longer slide. The grip really isn't any bigger, but it'll be interesting nonetheless. Snowman, when will the new Steyrs be on the market? They are. They're out in limited numbers, but I know a batch or two have already gone out to pre-orders. So they're out there. Hail to the Rooster. Awesome. Gives me an excuse for the NRA edition. I do carry the 365 on occasion. Yeah, that NRA edition is very cool. MD Polo's not here right now, but he's got a channel and he's got some videos on that. I mean, they're good looking guns. Frontier had one not too long ago. It's pretty cool looking, but I've got one, and duplicates right now make absolutely no sense to me. So couldn't pick up a second one. Joe Randall, off topic, but I left the review on TGC. I don't know what that means. Pistol Pete, Mr. Guns and Gear is a hypocrite. He can remember my name if he wants. Fair enough. Fair enough. We all connect with different people, right? Steve, get the 12-round max for the 365, a little more grip room. I totally agree with that. Although I don't mind the 10-rounder with the pinky extension either, because I still get a reasonable grip on it. It's about 2.5, 2 3/4, which is perfectly fine. Bald and Curious, Harry, I'm not Russian. Get your facts straight. Oh, Baldy. Oh, that's pretty funny. We are getting towards the end, guys. Any last minute questions before we bid ourselves a fondue, so to speak? Bald, you all right? You doing okay, buddy? B4 beer. Let's see. Leviathan Prim. I hope I'm saying that right. HK VP9 SK or SIG P365. They sit in very different realms. I love the SK. It's a phenomenal firearm. It feels amazing in the hand. It's a great shooter. I'm a huge fan. 365 is tiny, and it carries about the same amount of rounds. You put that extended magazine, you're going toe to toe in a smaller package. Now, the VP9, I will argue, is a much more shootable firearm because it's bigger, right? It's bigger all the way around. It weighs more, all that kind of thing. If I was carrying, I'd go the 365 because, again, I like a minimalist approach. If it was just a gun to have and have fun with, I'd go SK all day long because, again, it's more shootable at the range. So, agree or disagree. I like them both, but for different reasons. Yeah, the Armsman MD Polo has a new channel, but very nice content. Yeah, I totally agree. He's got great content out there. David, good to see you, man. Hello. Only thing better than KS Gun Guy is KSGG Live. I wanted to say hi. Well, good to see you, man. Appreciate it. Brian, what's coming in the future? That's a really good question. The Steyr will be coming at some point in time. I don't know if that's going to be the next video that comes out. I do want to do a revisit on the If I Could Only Have One between the Shadow 2 and the X5, but this time the Legion version. So those two are on the works or on the books, I guess. Dan Wesson Guardian. I mean, there's a lot of stuff coming. So I just don't know what I'm going to do next. It all depends, I guess. See, Kim. Will you or did you buy the X-Tar? I didn't buy it. They did send it to me. It's a loaner. I don't know. If they gave me the opportunity, I would definitely consider it because it is a ton of fun. I would have no problem with that. Snowman P210 still coming. Not at this point. I put it on the back burner for the Revolver, which I still haven't need to do a review on. So I don't know. Keenan VP9 SK feels better with the 13-round mag as well. Yeah. Absolutely. Let's see. Joshua Johnson, good to see you. I just got my new Stealth Gear Ventcore for my L9A1. Very cool. I hear good things about Stealth Gear. I really do. Well, so guys, here's the thing. It's about that time. So I appreciate you guys hanging out with me on a Monday night rather than a Tuesday night. I decided to spread it out a little bit more because on Wednesday we do the 3 guys chat or 4 guys chat now. So I thought that would be fun, but I really appreciate you guys donating an hour of your time. That is so cool. I really appreciate that. Again, more stuff will be on the way very soon. So see Kim, where's Big J? I don't know. We'll see him on Wednesday. I don't know whose channel it's on. I don't know if it's on mine or maybe Honest Outlaws. I'm not 100% sure yet. So just stay tuned for that. But Jim, good to see you, man. But again, guys, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Have a great rest of your week. Stay safe, shoot straight, all that good stuff. And I will see you guys next time. Take care.